Imagine this, a multi-billion-dollar energy project is on the line, and the key to getting it back on track? Well, it's a completely revolutionary way of looking at risk. It's not just about the money or the tech, it's about the hidden value systems, the worldviews that can literally make or break the entire plan. So, let's dive in.
So let me ask you, what do you think is the single biggest threat to a massive nation-building project like a nuclear power plant? Is it funding? Is it getting the technology right? Well, the answer might surprise you. The analysis we're about to walk through suggests the real risks, the ones that truly sink these projects, are much deeper. They're rooted in the invisible worldviews of everyone involved.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get to know the project at the heart of our story. Then we'll look at the standard way people map out risks. Before, and this is the cool part, we introduce a powerful new lens to see them in a whole new light. We'll explore exactly how these hidden values clash, and finally, we'll see what it means to look at project risk in 3 dimensions.
Okay, so let's set the stage. Our case study is the Ninh Thuan nuclear power plant project in Vietnam.
Now, this isn't just any old construction job. We're talking about a cornerstone of Vietnam's entire long-term energy security. It was actually put on hold back in 2016, but now there's a huge push to bring it back to life. And that means understanding every single possible risk with crystal clarity is absolutely crucial.
So, how do you even begin to wrap your head around the risks for a project of this magnitude? Well, you usually start with a classic tool from the business world, PEST analysis.
PEST analysis is basically the standard playbook. It's a framework for systematically looking at all the big external forces that could throw a wrench in the works, and it breaks them down into 4 main categories.
So you've got your political factors, right? Things like government policy and legal stuff. You've got economic factors. We're talking huge amounts of money here. Then there are social factors, which is all about public opinion and community concerns. And of course, technological factors, like which reactor you're going to use. This gives you a fantastic checklist of potential problems. But you know what it doesn't tell you? It doesn't tell you why these things become problems in the first place.
And to find that why, we have to go a layer deeper. This is where things get really interesting, because we're going to introduce a model of human values called spiral dynamics.
So what is spiral dynamics? You can think of it as a way of understanding the different operating systems for the human mind. It suggests that people, and even entire organizations and cultures, see the world through different value systems. And these worldviews, well, they determine what we care about, how we make decisions, and what we see as a risk versus what we see as an opportunity.
Now, for the Ninh Thuan project, the research identified 6 key worldviews in play. Let's meet the cast of characters. We've got purple, which is all about tradition, tribe, and safety. Red is that raw drive for power and immediate results. Blue is the need for order, rules, and stability. Orange is focused on strategy, achievement, and progress. Green values community, harmony, and consensus. And finally, yellow, which is all about systemic thinking and integrating complexity. These colors, they're the key to unlocking the real risks. And this is where it all comes together. The big insight here is that the most dangerous risks, they don't just live in one of those PEST boxes. No, they pop up at the intersection, right where these fundamental value systems collide.
Just take a look at this. This isn't your average risk register. See how they've mapped each risk to a specific clash of worldviews? A risk like rushed laws isn't just a political issue. It's a battle between the blue desire for order and the red drive for immediate action. Let's really dig into a few of these.
Okay, first up, let's zoom in on that tension between the demand for speed and the need for proper, careful process.
So here's the collision course. You have the red worldview, which you can see in the government pressure to just get this thing done now. It's all about speed and acceleration. But that smacks right into the blue worldview, which is demanding careful, tailored, legal, and regulatory rules. So what happens when red's go, go, go meets blue's hold on, let's get the rules right? You get the massive risk of rushed, flawed, and ultimately broken laws.
All right, let's look at another powerful one. This time, it's about the need for social harmony versus that same top-down pressure for speed.
On one side, you have the green worldview. It deeply understands that for a project this sensitive, you need real social buy-in, you need consensus. And building that kind of trust takes time. But it's in a direct firefight with the red worldview's demand for urgent action and immediate results. When you try to rush a process that needs harmony, you don't actually get speed. What you get is resistance that can bring the whole thing to a grinding halt.
And for our last example, let's get right down to the ground level, where ancient traditions meet modern global strategy.
Here we see the purple worldview of the local community.
It's deeply tied to traditional ways of life, like fishing. Their number one concern is protecting that heritage. But that clashes head-on with the orange worldview of the project planners, who are focused on strategic partnerships and technological progress. If you don't understand and bridge that gap, the orange strategy is going to feel like a direct threat to the purple worldview, and that creates local opposition that no amount of technical planning can solve.
So, what's the big takeaway here? What does all of this mean? It means we have got to stop looking at risk like it's some kind of flat checklist.
Think about it this way. A standard PEST analysis is like a 2D map. It shows you the roads and the cities, which is useful. But adding this lens of worldviews, that gives you the 3D terrain. Suddenly you can see the mountains, the valleys, the hidden fault lines. You can see the friction points between these value systems where the project earthquakes are most likely to happen. It lets you predict problems, not just react to them.
And this is exactly why the researchers behind this incredible work use this tagline. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's about building a deeper kind of knowledge, sharing that value, and ultimately helping co-author a more successful future for complex projects just like this one, all over the world.
And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Look at your own work, your own company, maybe even your own community. Where is that orange drive for immediate results clashing with the blue need for order? Where is the orange push for progress maybe ignoring a deeply held purple tradition? By learning to spot these worldview clashes, you might just find the hidden risks that truly matter most.